Igbos living in the United States of America has sent a serious message to Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to release Nnamdi Kanu with immediate effect. Multiple groups, including those from the United States of Nigeria, have demanded the immediate release of Nnamdi Kanu, leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, citing systemic oppression and neglect of the Igbo people. The Rising Stone Foundation Incorporation, a US-based Igbo organization, urged Nigerian government led by Bola Ahmed Tinubu to adhere to court orders and United Nations Human Rights Council directives for Nnamdi Kanu's release. They highlight claims of marginalization of the southeastern region in Nigeria, including exclusion from developmental projects like railway expansions and financial neglect. Nnamdi Kanu's detention is portrayed as emblematic of the broader struggle against oppression and marginalization of the Igbo people. The Igbo group criticized Southeast political leaders for prioritizing personal political ambitions over collective welfare, accusing them of complicit behavior in Nnamdi Kanu's prolonged detention. Despite several court rulings demanding his unconditional release, Nnamdi Kanu remains in detention under Nigeria's Department of State Security Services, DSS, since his illegal rendition from Kenya to Nigeria in 2021. Meanwhile, in Lagos, Frederick Nwajagu, an Igbo man, was acquitted of terrorism charges but sentenced to 12 months imprisonment for impersonation, highlighting perceived injustice and systemic bias against Igbos. The acquittal of Frederick Nwajagu on terrorism charges was seen as a symbolic victory for Igbos, though his incarceration for nearly 2 years before sentencing raised concerns of injustice. Igbo groups in the diaspora and at home emphasized the need for unity and collective action to address systemic oppression and safeguard Igbo interests. They call for Igbos to stand firm against oppression while advocating for equitable justice, development, and the protection of their rights within Nigeria. Let me take you on a journey that begins far away in the United States of America, where a group of determined individuals has been making waves about a matter close to their hearts. These people, members of the Igbo community living in the United States of America, have spoken up in a loud and unified voice. Their message is as clear as the morning sun. The Nigerian government, led by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, must release Nnamdi Kanu immediately. Now, to truly understand what's going on here, we need to talk about who Nnamdi Kanu is and why his name is one that stirs emotions both at home in Nigeria and abroad. Nnamdi Kanu is the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, often referred to as IPOB. This group represents the aspirations of many in the southeastern part of Nigeria, particularly the Igbo people, who feel sidelined and neglected by the Nigerian government. For years they've been vocal about their struggles, and Nnamdi Kanu has been at the forefront of their fight for justice and self-determination. The story takes a dramatic turn in June 2021. During that time, Nnamdi Kanu was reportedly taken from Kenya and brought to Nigeria under controversial circumstances. This move, often referred to as rendition, raised eyebrows internationally. Since then, he has been held in detention by Nigeria's Department of State Security Services. Despite court rulings that demanded his release and even directives from international bodies like the United Nations Human Rights Council, Nnamdi Kanu remains in detention. It is against this backdrop that the Rising Stone Foundation, a group representing Igbos living in the United States of America, has taken a bold stand. They have not just called for Nnamdi Kanu's release, they have tied his plight to a broader struggle. They argue that the continued detention of Nnamdi Kanu symbolizes the systemic oppression and neglect that the Igbo people have faced for decades. According to them, This is about more than one man. This is about justice, equality, and the right to be treated fairly in a country they call home. In their passionate appeal, the Rising Stone Foundation made it clear that they are deeply disappointed in some political leaders from the southeastern region of Nigeria. These leaders, they say, have failed their people. While they may publicly express support for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's release, their actions behind closed doors tell a different story. The Rising Stone Foundation believes these leaders prioritize their political ambitions over the welfare of their people, which is a bitter pill for many to swallow. As if this situation wasn't complex enough, there's another story that highlights the challenges faced by the Igbo people. This is the story of Frederick Nwajagu, an Igbo man who lived in Lagos, Nigeria. Frederick Nwajagu found himself at the center of a legal storm when he was accused of terrorism. For nearly 2 years he was held in detention while the legal system slowly ground its wheels. Then, in January 2025, something surprising happened. The court dropped the terrorism charges against Frederick Nwajagu, but they didn't let him go entirely. Instead, he was convicted of impersonation because he referred to himself as a chief in Lagos, a title the court claimed he had no right to use. Frederick Nwajagu's story struck a nerve. Many people couldn't help but ask why it took so long to clear him of the terrorism charges. And why, after all that time, was he still found guilty of something as seemingly minor as calling himself a chief? For many, this case felt like yet another example of the systemic bias faced by the Igbo people in Nigeria. The Rising Stone Foundation and other Igbo groups see stories like that of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and Frederick Nwajagu as interconnected. They believe these stories reflect a broader pattern of marginalization and injustice, and they're not alone in this belief. Across the southeastern region of Nigeria, many people feel that their region has been left out when it comes to development projects and other opportunities. Let's talk about one example that has been a sore point for the Igbo people. Not long ago, the Nigerian government secured a loan from China to fund a major railway project. But guess what? The southeastern part of the country was left out of the plan. For many Igbos, this was just one more piece of evidence that their region is being systematically overlooked. Now, back to the Rising Stone Foundation. This group is not just calling for justice, they're calling for unity among the Igbo people. They're saying it's time to put aside differences and stand together. They're urging their people to remember that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's fight is their fight, that his detention is a symbol of the broader struggle for the rights and dignity of the Igbo people. To truly grasp why the detention of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and cases like that of Frederick Nwajagu strike such a deep chord, we have to step back in time. The story of the Igbo people is one of resilience, resourcefulness, and relentless pursuit of self-determination. But it's also a story shadowed by years of systemic neglect, political maneuvering, and unfulfilled promises. The Igbo people hail primarily from southeastern Nigeria, a region rich in culture and history. For decades, they have been known for their entrepreneurial spirit and their ability to thrive even in the face of adversity. However, this industrious nature has not shielded them from the challenges of being a part of a diverse but deeply divided nation. Since Nigeria's independence in 1960, the Igbos have faced what many describe as systemic marginalization. This sense of exclusion was heightened after the Nigerian Civil War, also known as the Biafran War, which took place from 1967 to 1970. The Biafran War was one of the most devastating conflicts in African history. It began when the southeastern region, largely inhabited by the Igbo people, attempted to secede and form the Republic of Biafra. The war was brutal, with millions of lives lost, many to starvation. When the conflict ended, the Nigerian government declared that there were no victors, no vanquished. But for the Igbos, the post-war years were marked by policies and actions that felt very much like punishment for their attempt at self-determination. Fast forward to the present, and many Igbo people believe that the issues of neglect and marginalization persist. Whether it's the lack of federal infrastructure projects in their region, the underrepresentation in key government positions, or the challenges Igbo traders face in places like Lagos, the sense of injustice remains palpable. It is this deep-seated frustration that fuels movements like IPOB, led by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu emerged as a vocal and controversial figure. Through radio broadcasts, public appearances, and social media, he has passionately advocated for the rights of the Igbo people and the establishment of Biafra as an independent state. His rhetoric, often fiery and uncompromising, has drawn both staunch supporters and fierce critics. To his followers, he is a hero, a voice for the voiceless. To his detractors, he is a provocateur, someone whose actions threaten the unity of Nigeria. When Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was arrested in 2021, his supporters saw it as a direct attack on their struggle. His rendition from Kenya to Nigeria under murky circumstances added a layer of international controversy. Human rights organizations questioned the legality of the operation, while his followers demanded transparency and justice. The courts, both in Nigeria and internationally, have since weighed in, with some ruling in his favor. Yet, despite these rulings, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu remains in detention. For the Igbo community in the United States of America, this situation is deeply personal. Many of them have family and friends back home who face the day-to-day realities of living in a region they believe is being left behind. Through organizations like the Rising Stone Foundation, they've been working to amplify their voices and draw international attention to what they see as systemic oppression. Their message to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is clear. It's time to release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and address the larger issues facing the Igbo people. Now let's turn our focus to Lagos, where the story of Frederick Nwajegu unfolds. Lagos is often described as the commercial hub of Nigeria, a melting pot of cultures and a city where people from all over the country come to pursue their dreams. But for the Igbo traders and business people who have made Lagos their home, it hasn't always been a welcoming place. Markets dominated by Igbo traders have been targeted during political and ethnic tensions, leaving many to wonder if they are truly safe in the city they call home. Frederick Nwajegu's troubles began in 2023 when he made a public statement warning against the persecution of Igbo people in Lagos. He claimed that if the government couldn't protect them, he would invite members of the indigenous people of Biafra and the Eastern Security Network to defend Igbo lives and property. This statement was met with swift action from the authorities, who accused him of terrorism and related charges. For nearly 2 years, Frederick Nwajegu languished in detention, waiting for the legal system to determine his fate. When the court finally acquitted him of the terrorism charges, it should have been a moment of celebration. But the joy was tempered by his conviction for impersonation, a charge that many saw as trivial compared to the time he had already spent in custody. To make matters worse, he had been held far longer than his eventual sentence of 12 months. The case of Frederick Nwajegu serves as a stark reminder of the challenges faced by the Igbo people in Nigeria. It highlights the sense of alienation and injustice that fuels their calls for equity and fairness. And it's not just about one man or one case. It's about a pattern that many believe has been repeated too many times to be a coincidence. In the midst of all this, the call for unity among the Igbo people has grown louder. Groups like the Rising Stone Foundation emphasize the importance of standing together, both at home and in the diaspora. They believe that only through collective action can they bring about meaningful change. Their message is one of hope, resilience, and a determination to ensure that the sacrifices of people like Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and Frederick Nwajegu are not in vain. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government now finds itself at a crossroads. On one hand, there is a clear need to address the grievances of the Igbo people and to demonstrate that Nigeria is truly a nation for all its citizens. On the other hand, there are political and security considerations that make the situation more complicated. How the government chooses to handle this moment will have lasting implications, not just for the Igbo people, but for the entire country. As we reflect on these events, it's clear that this is not just a story about one region or one group. It's a story about justice, equality, and the kind of nation Nigeria aspires to be. The voices calling for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's release and for an end to systemic oppression are not just speaking for the Igbo people. They are speaking for everyone who believes in fairness, in human rights, and in the idea that every Nigerian deserves a seat at the table. The road ahead is uncertain, but one thing is clear: the Igbo people, whether in Nigeria or abroad, are not backing down. They are standing firm, united in their quest for justice, and determined to ensure that their voices are heard. And as their story continues to unfold, the world is watching, waiting to see how Nigeria will rise to the challenge. To truly understand why the Igbo people are so resilient in their pursuit of justice, you must hear the stories of individuals whose lives have been shaped by the struggles of their community. Take, for instance, the story of Kioma Eze, a second-generation Nigerian-American living in Atlanta, Georgia. Kioma's parents migrated to the United States in the 1980s, carrying with them the weight of their history and the hope of a brighter future. Kioma grew up hearing tales of her grandfather, a farmer in Anambra State who had lived through the Biafran War. He had lost everything during the conflict: his home, his crops, and 3 of his siblings to starvation.
This is a rock, and this is called a sandy area and a muddy area. Somebody built on the rock, some build on the sand. And when wind comes, or when flood comes, the one that will build on the sand cannot stay because there is no solid ground. But the one that will build right on the rock, they stayed. Some people, they have what is called the money. The money enters into their hands, but they cannot give account of the money. Why? Because it's lack of solid ground. This is a cement on the rock. When a man builds a mixed soil and also the sand with cement, and the place become concrete. These are spiritual things that I want to reveal to you. Hey, let me tell you, how are you going to get the solid foundation on the rock? I'll take the soil from here in order to mix it. We are going to mix it. Once you don't mix it, then you will see what will now happen. Some people that have started business don't start. No base. Some people who have now gathered ministry, no state, ministry scattered. Let me tell you, hey, have you gone to somebody that will be your father in order to now give you a solid ground? You will go to that place and you take the mud from that place. Then I, Prophet Jeremiah, will give you this. This is cement. I will give you this cement. When I give you this cement, then I will tell you what to do. Matthew 21:44 says, whosoever shall fall on this stone shall be broken, but on whosoever it shall fall, it will grant him to poida. You can see what I'm trying to tell you is this. Because it is clearly stated there. Let me tell you, not only that the solid rock that you build that will make you to not only survive. No, right now, they must surely attack you. No matter they attack you, because of the solid ground, they will turn to poida and they will going to be scattered. No matter people that are there, when they see your glory, they will going to attack you. I want you to know you have a spiritual father. Some people they marry, they are not enjoying their marriages. They don't know what to do because of their little small attacks, because their financial is not solid. It's not solid. Come, I will give you this one. You're going to enjoy it. Even at 3 person you know, 2 people as a customer comes, you will enjoy it. These are spiritual things. This is a solid foundation. It's a spirit. It's an anointing. It's a grace. I will give it to you. Hey, you see this one? When I give you this cement, go on. I will tell you what to do. You will reign and rule like Jeremiah would have way. You rule more than even I do. God bless you.
This is the end of our news update. Please click the icon on the top right corner of your screen to watch my next video. You will enjoy it. I will see you again in my next update. Enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye for now.